Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Daita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Daita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Daita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Veer Krishna Prabhu. Thanks for wonderful kirtan. So we welcome back His Grace Srivas Thakur Prabhu to shower His mercy upon us. We had a wonderful session last week. Prabhu is so merciful. He has agreed to bestow His more mercy upon us. So welcome back, Srivas Prabhu. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for accepting our request to grace your presence with us. So now I request Varnapati Prabhu to continue his moderation with Srivas Thakur Prabhu. Varnapati Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Take over from here.
Hare Bol.
I'm making co-host too.
Could you please confirm you can hear me, Prabhuji?
Perfect, Prabhu.
Hare Bol.
We can hear you.
Krishna. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavat pranams to you as well. Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to have you back in the auspicious month of Purushottam Mass. Thank you so much for coming back. Hare Bol. So Prabhuji, we have, and I will request all the devotees in the congregation here today, if you like to post any questions, please, I'm watching the chat. And in case if you like to ask any question, please raise your virtual hand and then you could ask in your own voice if you like to do that. Meanwhile, Prabhuji, there are some pending questions from last and we will go from there. But Prabhuji, I think Shripada Mataji already got virtual hand up. Mataji, would you like to ask your question first? It might be fresh in you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat pranams. Prabhuji, Krishna is telling, if we go to Bhagavad Gita 9.17, Krishna is telling, Vedyam Pavitram Omkara Ruksama Yajurevacha. So here Krishna is not mentioning Ruk, Sama, Yajur and Atharvana Veda. That's the question I wanted to ask. Is there any reason to mention Krishna like that?
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for your question, Mataji, and thank you all very much to all the assembled devotees for having me back again. I am really very grateful for this opportunity to be able to share something and to glorify our Guru Varga, to glorify the All-Merciful, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and to all the devotees. Tamam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Tamam Krishna Goswami Tinamine Tamam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prachayane Nirvisesa Sunyavari Paschatya Disatarane Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shadva Nityagadari Shadasari Gaur Bhakta Pinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Panchakalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. My obeisances to all the devotees. Mataji, if you can please read to me the full verse.
Yes, Prabhu. Pitahamasya jagato mata data pitamaha vedyam pavitram onkara ruksama yajurevacha.
Okay, that is in what part of Bhagavad Gita again?
Yeah, 9.17, Prabhuji.
Okay, let me just check that out.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, I've just posted the link in the chat, if that's easier.
Okay.
9:17.
Pitaham Asya Jagato, that verse.
Yes.
Yes, Mata data pitamaha.
So your question is, why is it that the the Atharva Veda is not mentioned by Lord Krishna?
Yes, Prabhuji.
To be honest with you, I do not know the answer to that. Why the Atharva Veda is not mentioned? Although in the purport of Srila Prabhupada, he mentions the four Vedas, Sama, Yajur, Rig, and Atharva, as
Yes,
being prominent because the Pranava or Omkar is mentioned in all of the Vedas. I am not very particular with the contents of all these different kinds of the Vedas, so I would ask for your forgiveness. I do not know the answer to that, Mataji.
it's okay,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna. Sorry, Prabhuji, your voice was a bit low. So, however, we could understand, and you appreciate we saved the difficult questions for the second session because we didn't want to ask this, so you would not come back.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Thank you so much.
That's fine.
All right. We have some more questions here, Prabhuji. And this question is from last week.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, what sort of blessings a family devotee can ask for from his guru and other sannyasis? Families have lots of material and spiritual difficulties. So family devotee, what sort of blessings family devotees could ask from the guru and other sannyasis?
Okay. The spiritual master, the greatest blessing of the spiritual master is mentioned in our song Guru Vandana. We say, Chakudana Dilu Jai, Janme Janme Prabhu say, Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashito. The greatest mercy of the spiritual master is the awakening of Divya Gyan within the heart. Because that is the only way by which a devotee can fully realize himself and his relationship with Krishna. And this is also the only means by which a person can start his journey towards the process of devotional service. So we say, he who opens my darkened eyes with transcendental knowledge is my Lord birth after birth. In an earlier verse to that, we say, my only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from your lotus mouth. So that is the only desire of a disciple from his spiritual master. Not only from the sannyasis, but all elevated Paramahamsa devotees of the Lord. That is their mercy. We can see in the story in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the 6th canto of Chitraketu, when Chitraketu was the king, Angira Muni visited him. But during that time, Chitraketu was not very happy because although he was the king and he had several queens, most of the queens were barren. They were incapable of having a child. So when Angira went there, he realized that Chitraketu was not at all receptive for transcendental knowledge. So he said, "My dear king, how can I bless you?" And he said, "My dear Rishi, my only wish is to have a son." So this Rishi, he performed a sacrifice, and by the prasad of the sacrifice, he made one of the queens honor it. But he said, while he was leaving, he said, "I have given you a blessing, which will be the cause of your jubilation and your lamentation." And then he left without even waiting for the king to reply back. So the pure devotee is there to give us the means by which a living entity can finally end the cycle of samsara. He is not there to give you material blessings. He can, and they are capable of doing that. But that is not the greatest blessing that they have. Now, householders, grihastas, okay, we have many needs, right? Economic needs, emotional needs, to make sure that our families are comfortable in the performance also of our uh, mundane duties and also in the performance of our devotional service. But we have to understand that Krishna is already the supreme proprietor. He is the supreme provider. He is the maintainer of everyone. Krishna says that in all places of the scriptures, that he maintains not only the humans, but all species within the material creation. There is a very nice discussion given by Srila Prabhupada. Said that even the tiger is a very powerful animal, powerful jaws, powerful claws. He's got a powerful scent, okay? But even this tiger does not have that opportunity to have meals every day. So he has to go and hunt. And the animals, they also know that, within the forest there is a tiger. So they also run away from it. So even though the tiger is powerfully endowed with some skills and some physical attributes, he does not get anything unless Krishna gives him the opportunity. In fact, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that even when your stars are all aligned, even when your karma has matured for you to be able to reap the benefits of your pious activities, if Krishna does not give that opportunity, then even the law of karma will have to bow down to his wishes. So we have the law of karma, but that law is enunciated by the Supreme Lord. So even though we may try so much, if Krishna says not yet, then it is not going to happen. That conviction we must try to understand. Because even though you go to a sannyasi or you go to a sadhu and you try to ask these things, if Krishna does not want to give it, it's not going to happen anyway. Of course, by the prayers of a devotee, you may be able to have that. But then again, these are needs that are already given. These are already needs that God already knows. You don't have to pray for them because He already knows them. And He will provide them to you at the opportune moment. So we can see people who work very hard all their lives, but they don't come to a level of uh, very high economic conditions. And we see people who are not very well educated, not very well experienced, but you can see that they are being given, much better facilities than a person who is well qualified academically. So this shows that Krishna is going to give you what you deserve, what you need under the given circumstances, so that you know we may be able to be satisfied and perform what is a more responsible, or what is a more apt function for you to do for your spiritual advancement. So the Lord, He knows your needs as the Paramatma, and He's going to give that. But if we try to increase that, we discussed that verse last time. Tena Tena Bunjita. You have your own quota. And Krishna already knows that. And He's going to provide that. So perhaps what we can really ask the devotees, what we can really pray to the Lord, is to give us the wisdom to understand this. We can ask the Lord to give us the strength to be able to be satisfied with whatever is given to us under any circumstance. We have to pray to the Lord for a deeper understanding and appreciation that whatever I have already is sanctioned and that is already given by Krishna. So these are the things that we need. But I think to pray more for something, is unbecoming for a person who is already on this path of devotional service. So for karmists, that is a given. They would want more and more and more and more and more. Okay? That is the curse of the Rajagun. The Rajagun will give you endless desires. But for a person who is already in this practice, I think what we need to understand more is, what is it that I need given my endless desires? Because if you get that, something will come up again and again and again. The cycle will never stop. But for a devotee, he should pray that I have many desires, my Lord. Some of these I think are all very good for me. I am convinced that they are very good for me. But you are the most intelligent. You know past, present, and future. So my future you already know. And that's the reason why you are giving me this. Now, if I want to ask some more, maybe that future that you have for me, may be disrupted because of these endless longings that I'm putting before you. Of course, this is one of the Mahatmas that Krishna describes. That Artho Caritamrta, that verse. There are 4 people. Chaturvida Bhajantema. There are 4 people who come to Krishna. And one of these is the distressed person. The second one is the person who's desiring material wealth. Other one is the person who's inquisitive. Now, Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport that while these devotees are Mahatmas or considered great souls, they are not pure devotees because they have something that they want to ask from Krishna. Now, Krishna says, Rupa Goswami says rather, Anya Bilasita Sunyam Jnana Karmani Anavritam. That the process of bhakti is devoid of all these desires. So now we know this principle. All right? And now here is our mind. Here are situations being given before us, and the mind reacts to them. The intelligence also gives you all the justifications why you should go and ask this from a saintly person. But that is not the gift of the saintly person. The gift of the saintly person is divya, that opportunity by which you can switch off the process of samsara and go back home, back to guided. That is their greatest mercy. So while this may appear or this may sound theoretical, if within our heart we try, at least we try to say to Krishna that, my Lord, I am full of desires. But please, enlighten me, give me that understanding so that I can go beyond this. Because the Shastra says that the wealthiest person is a person who is desireless. He is the wealthiest because he does not need anything. He does not need anything because he is convinced that my Lord is my protector and he is going to maintain me in any circumstance. So Prabhupada said that even if a person goes to the forest, if Krishna wants to give him food, he will have food. And even if one lives in the city, okay, even if one is the son of a king, if Krishna does not want him to eat, he will not eat. So sometimes you see people, very rich people. Yes, they are very wealthy. They cannot eat. Why? Because they are afflicted with some diseases that forbid them to eat. Sometimes they're very rich, they're very wealthy, but they cannot move. Okay, because material nature gives them, let's say, accidents or other forms of diseases by which their body becomes totally immobile. See? So the prayer of a devotee is not for this. Now, this may sound theoretical. It's easier said than done. But if you will only try, if we will only try, because we hear this from Shastra, we hear this from other devotees that we should practice some renunciation and detachment. If we will only try. Then Krishna says, Yaya tamam prapajante tam tathai bhavatamyam. Then I reward him accordingly. Does that answer your question, Prabhu? I hope it answers your question.
Thank you so much for the elaborative answer. As you said, we need to have desireless devotional service.
Varnabal
Prabhu, I
Prabhu,
can't.
your voice is very low. We can't hear your voice.
Yes.
Now,
Come
is it
again?
better, Prabhuji?
Better, but it is breaking in between. You can continue, bro.
Haribo.
Yeah.
Sorry, I did try the headphone because I was having trouble listening to Prabhuji. So I hope my voice is better now.
All clear.
Yes, bro.
Oh, yeah, Haribo. Thank you so much for such an elaborative answer, Prabhuji. As it says that we need to have desireless devotional service, and seeking blessings in itself is a kind of desire in one sense. And you explained it so nicely, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. There are some more questions, Prabhuji. So if humbly I request to keep the answers short. So we like to ask a lot of questions today.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No.
Yes, I'll keep it short.
I'm not doing any offense here, Prabhuji. And I will come back to that point as well, because that's such a crucial point. But we got a couple of virtual hands raised. So first, may I request Ananga Manjari Mataji to ask her question. I think Mataji has been asked for a while. Mataji, would you like to ask your question?
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisances, Prabhu.
Please accept my
Prabhu, just I want to know something about Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, and even how you met him. What was his personal instruction to you? So some glorification about him, Prabhu. I want to know.
The answer will not be short.
Wonderful, Prabhu. So you have to be cautious.
Okay.
There are so many glorifications about Srila Gurudev in so many books and in so many website forums. And I know you're going to research that. Okay, but I will speak from my personal experience. My spiritual master, if I were to go back and reminisce everything, he did a very excellent job towards the disciple. He has taught me many things that made me understand that spiritual life is not just, a formality. For example, when he sent me back, or when he gave me initiation, his first concern was I was a very young devotee. I was barely 18 at the time. And he said that he was concerned that I may not be able to keep my vows and to keep my promise to him. That was his first concern. But I told him that if you will give me your mercy, then even a stone can develop love of God. And he was merciful to give me initiation. Then he sent me back to university. And he said, I want you to go back to university as a brahmachari. You shave your head every day. You wear dhoti kurta and go to school every day. Now, wearing dhoti kurta in other parts of the world is something really funny because, the Philippines is 90% a Christian country. So for them to see a person who shaved is okay, but you are shaved with a sika, that's something else. And then you put tilak on your forehead, that's something else. So for me, that was his protection. So that, you know, I will not be very much entangled in worldly association. He also asked me to write to him every month. Hare Krishna, can you still hear me?
Yes, Prabhuji. We
Yes,
can.
Prabhu.
Okay. He also asked me to write to him every month. During that time, there was still no internet. So we had to, type our letter, but I always wrote my letter by hand. So I always wrote to him every month. And he would ask me, what am I doing? How does my sadhana look like? What is my process? I told him, as he told me, I'll do Mangal Arti every morning. I'll sing my Nrsimha prayers. I'll do my Tulsi Puja, then off to school. In the evening, I will do my Gaur Arati and to study the books of Srila Prabhupada. He said, every day you should read 1 hour Bhagavad Gita and 1 hour Srimad Bhagavatam. So I was doing that. And I always reported to him what I was doing. But one time during the rainy season, there was not much activity. Yeah, and he also told me that on the weekends I should still go and distribute books. So every Saturday I will go to the park and distribute books and invite people to a simple Sunday program that I was holding. So one rainy season I did not ask, I write to him because there was really not much activity. It was still the same thing I was reporting every now and then. So normally I would send him a letter. In 15 days he would get it. He would reply. So in a month's time, that would be the cycle. Okay, that I would receive a letter from him. But when I sent that letter on that 1 month, immediately I received the letter. And he told me, my dear Srivas Prabhu, please accept my blessings. I observed that you did not write me this month. Tell me something about what is going on with you, your sadhana. Tell me something about your reading. Are you okay? So that letter, you know, made me realize that my Gurudev was not only asking for a report. He really wanted me to establish a very strong relationship with him. So the letter was not just me telling him this is what I am doing. I am preaching. Now I have 5 boys attending Sunday program. That was not his main concern. His main concern was I developed a very, very deep personal relationship with him. And that struck me as something very significant. And so from the time on, I always wrote to him every month. And every time he would visit the Philippines, the Philippines is composed of about 7,100 islands. And I have medical brothers preaching in so many of these places. But when Gurudev came, everybody would stop whatever they're doing and they would all go to the main temple in the capital city, Manila, so that they can have association. So in that assembly, all my God brothers are there. All of my very senior God brothers, very strong preachers, they would all be there. And I would be sitting at the back's end because I was a very insignificant brahmachari, just going to university. Sometimes he would look for me and he say, "Where's the Srivas?" And I would raise my hand from the back end and said, "Come here. You have to listen very carefully. You have to take as much association as you can, because after this, you're going to go away again." So you try to find some strength in this, because if you develop strength, then you can draw on this like a spiritual bank account. You can draw on this, whenever the difficulties would come in. So I want you to spend as much time listening whenever your Gurudev is here. So again, that struck me because I said, see, my Gurudev is very concerned about my welfare, about my spiritual welfare. And he would always give me this darshan, Gurudev would always spend, time for his disciples to have a darshan with them individually. And sometimes it would be a collective darshan for all the brahmacharis, all the Sankirtan devotees. But he would always give me one time and he would ask me, "So what are you reading now? So do you have any questions? How about what is the condition of your mind? You're a brahmachari. Are you still attracted to the opposite sex? Does this bother you? You tell me." So this was like a father and son conversation. And I would tell him, yes, sometimes I still see a nice lady and I'm still attracted. So what do we do when that happens? And I would say, I would pray to your lotus feet. I would pray to Krishna. I would pray that my Gurudev is a very strong sannyasi. Maybe he can also give me, a particle of that potency so that I can be very loyal to my vows. So he would talk to me like this. So my Gurudev has, as far as, I am concerned, I am very grateful because he taught me what a disciple should be. He taught me the role of the guru, that the guru is not just a person there that you glorify. In fact, he told me someday, when you go to work, you should put a picture of me in your table so that you can always see me while you're doing your work, and you can offer all your results, all your work, all whatever you're doing, the reports, analysis, whatever, you can offer them to your guru. So in that way, while you are even working, you are engaged and you're always remembering me. So that was very, very strong. It had a very strong impression on me, a very strong impact, because there I realized my Gurudev is doing this. He has learned all of this from Srila Prabhupada. And he is also giving this kind mercy to me. So he said, I do not accept as many disciples because I want to make sure that I have time for all of my disciples and train them. So he instituted even a Bhakta program where all the devotees can go there and study, the essential books that Srila Prabhupada has written for us. Bhagavad Gita, Nectar of Devotion, Srimad Bhagavatam, Nectar of Instruction, the basic books, so that we can develop a taste and become strong preachers. So my Gurudev was, some of his good brothers call him hot tamale. Tamale is, a Mexican variety of chili, which is very, very hot. So they call him this because he was really very strict when it comes to his dealings, not only with his god brothers, but also with his disciples. I would say that he has trained most of his disciples very, very well. So in that sense, I am most grateful. And these are the things that I still remember until now. His letters, his instructions, what he told me when he chastised me. There are many times he also chastised me. And I welcome those because until now, if I look at them, they still open up some avenues that I haven't even realized before. So when it comes to reading Srila Prabhupada's books, he was really very emphatic on that. It's one There were times that, he would ask me, okay, he would be sitting on his Vyasa and he will be giving class. So he would recite the verse, he would recite the purport, then he would say, today's class will be given by Srivas. And I would be shocked, all of his senior God brothers are there, all of my senior God brothers are there. And here I am being asked by my spiritual master to give class. That was his way of testing how deep was the level of my realization and understanding of the scriptures. So this is also the way that I was able to seek the blessings of my God brothers and Prabhupada's disciples that I can understand them better. So as a spiritual guide, it was perfect. As a spiritual inspiration, inspired me so much. And you can read more about him. I think he has a website, goswami.com. You can visit. He has all his lectures there also. So I hope this answers your question, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Hare
And you are very fortunate to have personal association with your Gurudev, Prabhu.
Yeah,
Thank
I think
you so much.
we should all seek that. We should all seek that.
But we don't have Prabhu.
Well,
Now,
it's always a matter of desire. Just like Narottam Das Thakur, Bhagavad Goswami did not want to accept him as a disciple. Bhagavad Goswami did not have a disciple. He never wanted to accept any. But Narottam Das Thakur, he tried his very best. Every morning after Lokanath Goswami would, do his bathroom functions, Narottam Das Thakur would go there and clean up. Same with Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He tried many times begging from Gorakishore Das Babaji for initiation. Gorakishore, I will have to ask Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And every time Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada would go, they said, oh, he has not given me his answer yet. So the test is also there for you to develop a desire. So everything is all about desire. Desire is the price you pay, nothing else. And if you are desirous, then why won't Krishna give you that opportunity?
Hare Krishna.
thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for such an honest realization and your deepest gratitude towards your Guru Maharaj, His Holiness
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Maharajji is evident in your eyes and your voice. And indeed, Maharajji delivered many souls. He wrote many insightful commentaries from Shastras. I remember reading one of them, Happiness is a Science, which is from 8th canto of Bhagavatam, and the way he explained things. So thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hari Bol. And I'm glad you were not brief, you were elaborate, and we wanted to hear a lot more. So thank you so much. Moving on to the next question, Prabhuji. And okay, so this one, right, Prabhuji asks, can you please put light on how to achieve quality chanting when we are not in association of devotees? I feel so much distraction of mind while chanting.
A very good question. Thank you very much for that question. First of all, let us have an understanding of the holy name. Haridas Thakur explains that the holy name, this is Krishna in the form of sound. So therefore, all the potencies of Krishna are in the name of Krishna. All the potencies, his Chit Vaibhava is there, which is the source of all knowledge. It is the source of all service. It is the source of all the spiritual worlds, all the spiritual pastimes. It is the source of all his forms. It is the source of all his knowledge. Everything is there. Okay? So within that holy name is all the potency of Krishna. So therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that you have invested all your potencies in your holy name, but unfortunately, I have no desire for them. So the sound Krishna and the person Krishna, they are the same. Now, at first, that sounds very theoretical, right? How am I able to understand that? And Haridas Thakur also explains that within that holy name of Krishna, okay, is all his mercy potency. So that person, Krishna, that name Krishna, okay, how do you understand a person? You understand a person by four ways, four means. First is called guna, his qualities. So if I tell you this person is very outspoken, he's very opinionated. He is tall. Do you have an understanding of that person is? That's the only qualities I'm describing. The other part is karma, his activities. If I tell you that this person that I just described is his karma, is one of the leaders of a powerful nation in the world. So that's gonna give you a little idea now. Okay? So we have guna, qualities, we have karma, his activities, then we have rupa, form. If I tell you he's got blonde hair, he's more than about 6 feet tall, he's about in his 70s, then it gives more clarity. And then the last is nama, his name. But if I tell you Donald Trump, then automatically the guna, the karma, and the rupa immediately comes into mind. So therefore, in this age of Kali, Krishna has given the holy name because by the name, one can realize Krishna's qualities, 64 qualities, so many qualities. His activities, his pastimes, his lila, everything. Okay, his form, he has so many forms. Okay? We have so many incarnations. We have so many leelas. So by the name alone, one can realize all of this. Now you might say, well, I'm chanting, but I don't understand anything. And when I'm chanting, I don't get to think of Krishna. This is because we need the holy name to be given as a mercy from a pure devotee. Now, Prabhupada, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they have given this very freely. But the only requirement in accepting the name is firm faith. So faith is the only requirement to accept the holy name. So if you accept this holy name, which is your sadhana, which is your process, which is also the goal, if you accept it with faith, then it's going to start to work. However, there are also impediments in proper chanting. And one of these, okay, is what you have described as distractions. Okay? There are few types of distractions. One is called Vyavadan, I forgot that term, but it is when you do not chant properly. You do not pronounce the syllables properly. So sometimes if you listen to some devotees chanting, say Krishna Krishna Ray Ray, or Ram Ray Ray, the Hari Hari is always missed out. That means the person is not listening. That means the person is not hearing the holy name. So Chaitanya, the acharyas, they say that you have to listen to each and every syllable of the name. Another thing is tattva vyavadana, when your understanding of the holy name is not that perfect. Okay, when you give interpretations on the holy name, when you think chanting is just an imaginary thing, or when you think that the holy name is meant to give you all your material desires. Okay, so this tattva vyavadana comes in so many ways, and this all lead to offenses. That's why there are 10 offenses in chanting Hare Krishna. Okay, the 10th offense, I think, is the most serious. Now, every offense is serious, but the 10th offense is quite very meaningful, because the 10th offense says that it is an offense is to not have complete faith in chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Faith. It is also an offense, okay, to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on the matter. That's the second provision of the 10th offense. So if you're attending some congregations, if you're attending programs, listening to the preaching of so many devotees, reading Prabhupada's books, but still you are maintaining material attachments, you still think that this is the process so that you can have more in life, that is an offense. Okay? And thirdly, okay, the third provision is it is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. So inattention comes in so many ways. So what could be the most practical ways to go about this? So when you chant, that is your alone time with Krishna. That is your one-on-one session with Krishna. So do not switch on your phone. Do not switch on your laptops. Everything is dead. Okay, go to one place and just chant. Now, you might say, well, I'm a very busy man. Yes. But busy man means you should also be a very good manager of your time. So if you manage your time, that from this time, from 4:30 to 5:30, I will chant. I will not do anything. I will not think about my work. I will not think about my wife. I will not think about the things that have to be done today. I will just chant Hare Krishna and listen to every syllable. Then that's going to help. Okay? Because nowadays, during our time, there was no internet. So there was no smartphone. Okay? So there was no social media. But even during that time, we had this problem. You see? Why? But our source of distraction was not was totally unlike now. Now, everything is in your mobile phone. YouTube, messages, WhatsApp, Facebook, so many. Okay? That if one does not really develop a sense of discipline, then chanting will be just mechanical. Just like when you ride a plane, when you ride a plane, when you reach a certain altitude, the pilot puts it on autopilot, and then the pilot can go around, talk to the flight crew, talk to the passengers, but the plane is flying on its own. So similarly, if we make this a habit, then we also go on auto chanting. The mouth is moving, but the mind is not there. The mind is not invested in it. The sensors are not invested in it. And so therefore, because there is no one focused attention, even after chanting 16, 30 to 64 rounds, your mind is still as disturbed as anything. Therefore, Krishna says, Bhagavad Gita, that if one is not, Nasti Buddhir Ayutasya, if one is not in divine consciousness, then he will never have a controlled mind and steady intelligence, without which there can be no question of peace or happiness. So to come to that platform of transcendental consciousness is chanting Hare Krishna, chanting the holy name. So when you chant, what is the mood to chant? Prabhupada says that chanting should be done in the mood of helplessness. So when you chant, this is your time to pray. You can say, my dear Lord, see, right now I am praying, but my mind is thinking of my work. Right now I am praying, but I'm thinking about the presentation I am going to be making. I am also thinking about other deadlines that I'm thinking. So please help me. See, so a devotee should pray like this. Aside from my work, Lord, I am also full of so many desires. I also want to become rich so that I can retire early. And if I can retire early, I can spend all my time with you. Can you please make me rich? See, I have all these desires, my Lord. Please help me. This is your moment to talk to Krishna. This is your moment to communicate with Krishna. So chanting is actually vandaram. This is praying. So you can say, my dear Lord, I have no service attitude. Please help me. How can I develop the service attitude? Let me try to serve you by listening. Listening. So I have to listen. Now you have to try your best. But do not enslave the name. Do not enslave the name by forcing Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. You have to pray to the holy name. So sometimes we try to force it. Don't force it. You have to approach it with a humble state of mind. You can say, my dear Lord, I've been chanting for 30 minutes now. My mind is still awake. Please help me. Please help me focus. Please clean my heart. Then I can focus. If you do not give me your mercy, I will not be able to do this. Then you chant again and again. But you also do your part. At least try to do, do a little tapasya. Do not touch your phone. Do not switch it on. Switch it on at the time when it needs to be switched on. Okay? Try also to do something. But if you just keep on chanting, but you're not also helping yourself, you're not doing some little things, some little forms of tapasya for you to be able to do your bhajan very nicely, then Krishna says this guy is not serious. So Krishna will also test our determination, our resolve to really do something nice. So this is our chance to pray to Krishna, to reveal to him who we are. Krishna already knows you. He knows your desires. He knows your past, present. He knows what you're going to do an hour from now. He knows that 15 minutes from now this guy is going to pray to me. And you will pray to him. See? And this is also the time that we can be grateful to Krishna. We have to be thankful for what we have. You see, in the third canto, there's a very interesting discussion there when Kapila Dev was preaching to his mother. And he said that when a person is asleep, none of the senses can awaken him. The living entity can only be awakened when the super soul awakens him. So every day Krishna is waking us up, not your alarm clock, not somebody whom you have asked to wake you up. No. The super soul wakes you up every day. Now, isn't that something to be thankful for? Just imagine if Krishna does not wake you up today and tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. What will happen? You're gonna lose your job. You're gonna get sick. See? But Krishna comes there every day, waking you up. Hey, it's time. So this is something to be thankful for. And when you wake up, what is the first thing that you can see? Krishna gives you vision. Then you go and brush your teeth, you go and take a shower, you drink a cup of water. Krishna gives you water free of charge. Well, you may say, I'm paying for it because the government is sending me the bill. But still, this is coming from Krishna. The first thing that you do is breathe. So this air is coming from Krishna. Just imagine if Krishna will send you a bill for all the oxygen that you breathe every day. Every second, there is a charge. Can you pay? Not even your monthly salary will be enough if Krishna is going to bill you for all the good things he's giving. So when we chant, that is also the time when we can be grateful to God, to Krishna, and say, oh, thank you. Give me another chance today. Please let me be a better person today. Let me try to do some service. Let me try to show some kindness to others. Let me try to remember you all the time. Please help me. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. And if you try to practice this every day, then as you practice, you become better and better and better. So chanting is not only you, experiencing or communing with God. This is also your time to be grateful, to thank Him. This is also the time to reveal your mind to Krishna, to reveal your weaknesses to Krishna, to reveal your very bad propensities. So this is the moment when we talk with Krishna. So we were talking last time that there is a sign of love. Rupa Goswami has described that, that the dati pratigrinati, that revealing one's mind and accepting instructions. So accepting instruction, Krishna instructions through the Sastras, through the devotees, through other living entities. So if we just become conscious of it, then it's going to work. Okay? There are many offenses, yes. There are many anarthas, yes. But all of these offenses and anarthas can be wiped out with one sweeping blow if Krishna will give His mercy. If you pray to your Gurudev, please Gurudev, give me your mercy. This is so difficult for me. Then by establishing this relationship with the spiritual master and with Krishna, then all of this can go away. You see, this philosophy is not just an academic exercise. This is not your academic sense gratification where you say nectarian class. What is nectarian? What is your definition of nectarian? Nectarian means that it awakens something in you. You see? Nectarian means that it inspires you. It deepens your faith. It makes you stronger. That is nectarian. But when we just say nectarian for the sake of it, but it does not awaken your faith, it does not inspire you to do something better, then that is just your academic sense gratification. And the purification will take a very long time. So hearing, that is the first thing. Okay? And we can hear properly if our chanting is done properly. Okay? So faith. Faith, this is your time to pray to Krishna. This is your time to thank Krishna. This is time you reveal yourself to Krishna in all honesty. This is proper chanting. I hope that answers your question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. And I think it's one of those questions which almost every devotee has it, because chanting, it seems to be the essence. We all accept hand on our heart that we don't have that quality of chanting what it's supposed to be. But the way you explained it, that we should approach by firm faith and right mood and seek the mercy, that's so practical. And if you just keep remembering that we have the way we explain sambandha jnana, abhidya and prayojana, if you keep that in mind, then of course gradually by the mercy of the Lord and senior Vaishnavas, chanting could improve. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. It was really nice to have that realization from you. There's one more question, Prabhuji, from, right? Prabhuji hasn't mentioned his name here. But the question is on Sanatan Goswamiji, that before leaving the post as Prime Minister of Nawab, he was reading Srimad Bhagavatam. So we can see that he had all the theoretical knowledge. So in the Bhagavatam, it is clear that soul is part and parcel of Krishna. Then why Sanatan Goswami presented himself as ignorant before Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji? Is that the knowledge was only theoretical, not practical?
Very good question. Thank you very much. Very good question. The relationship of guru and a disciple is something that we need to appreciate. It's not really very complicated. But guru means one who opens your eyes. So one may be academically qualified. They may have read everything. But before the spiritual master, the disciple should always present himself as a fool. He should never go there and present and show him to the spiritual master that he knows everything. We can see that in the example of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati is a very intelligent scholar. But everyone knows that Gorakishore Das Babaji Maharaj is totally illiterate. Totally illiterate. Okay? But still Bhaktivinoda Thakur said that you have to go and take initiation from Gorakishore Das Babaji. Because Gorakishore Das Babaji is a very elevated Paramahamsa. You see? So, and everything that came out from Babaji Maharaj's lotus mouth is always the absolute truth. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, knowing him to be a very, very intelligent scholar, nobody could defeat him. You know, when he was in Puri, his father reprimanded him for defeating one great Mayavadi philosopher. He also presented himself and defeated all the Smarta Brahmins on the principle of Vaishnavism and Brahminism. Which one is more superior? Okay. But before his Gurudev, he would always present himself as a fool. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also did the same thing. Before Ishwarapuri, he said, I am a fool. And Ishwarapuri said, yes, you're a fool. You're not fit to study Vedanta, so you just chant Hare Krishna. And if you chant Hare Krishna, okay, then all of the essence of the Vedas will be manifested in your heart. Now that is God we're talking about. The Supreme Personality of Godhead appearing himself before spiritual master. Spiritual master telling him, you're a fool. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just said, accepted it. So that is the mood of a disciple. Okay? So you do not accept a guru so that somebody can vet you and tell you, yeah, actually he's very intelligent. No. You accept a spiritual master because we need someone to open our darkened eyes, to take off that blindness. So even though the Srimad Bhagavatam says that even by his own endeavor, even by the instruction of others, okay, if a person does not receive that mercy, everything is futile. So accepting a spiritual master is mandatory. Tad guru, it is a must. Why? Because this is the only way that your real knowledge is activated. So knowledge on the material platform, Gyan, for you to even develop that takes so many lifetimes. Lord Krishna defines that in Bhagavad Gita, Bahunam Janmanamante, Gyanavamam Prapanchate. Okay? So, after many years, a person is knowledgeable until he comes to the platform of Vasudeva Sarvam Iti. The Vasudeva is everything. He is called Agyani. Therefore, Prabhupada says that these Mayavaris, they're Agyanis. They're not really Gyanis because they haven't reached the platform of Vasudeva Sarvam Iti. Prabhupada made that, he presented that principle very emphatically. So one should accept a spiritual master because a spiritual master is the representative of Krishna. So therefore one should see the Guru as the representative of the Supreme Lord. He is as good as the Supreme Lord. Not that he is the Supreme Lord, but he is the most confidential servant of the Supreme Lord. And knowledge is not just something in your intellect. Knowledge is in your heart. It is something that needs to be activated. Let us look at the example of Prahlad. Prahlad was instructed by Narad in the womb. After that, he never saw him again. But when Prahlad was preaching to his classmates told him, where did you get all of this knowledge? You're just in the palace. The palace is heavily guarded. Hiranyakashipu is watching everyone. No Vaishnav can go there. In fact, even his teachers in the Gurukul, the sons of Sukracharya, were confused where he's getting this information. Okay? So even though he is alone, Prahlad Maharaj was alone. He did not have sadhu sangha. But he was not alone because he always remembered the instruction of his spiritual master. So if you read Bhagavatam, Prahlad did not even quote one shloka. He did not even quote from Bhagavad Gita. He did not quote from any shloka, from any shastra. But whatever he said was the absolute truth. And whatever he said became shlokas of the Bhagavatam. That is the potency of a pure devotee. You see, even Dhruva, when Krishna appeared before him, he couldn't say a word. He did not know how to offer prayers. But when Lord Krishna touched his conscience on his forehead, then he became so self-realized. Even Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he was presenting himself. This is a good example. Okay, he said, okay, as sannyasi, I will instruct you in Vedanta. He was telling this to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay, but when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu manifested his real form to Sarvabhauma said, he became so totally self-realized. He immediately recited 100 slokas in glorification of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this knowledge is within the spirit soul. That's why he is Satchit Ananda. Chit is, he knows everything. All right? But that is already covered. That's why initiation, Diksha, means, okay, comes from two words. D means Divyagyan. This is the awakening of the Divyakan in your heart. And Ksha, coming from the word Chatra, is to destroy the seeds of material desires in your heart. Okay? No academician, okay, can do that. And so therefore, because this is only being given by Guru, so therefore before the Guru, you have to be a humble person. Does that answer your question, Herbal?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. You again reminded us about the importance of mercy of Guru Maharaj and the Lord. That doesn't matter how much one reads. And I know Srila Prabhupada always used to say, and a lot of senior devotees, they again and again reminds us that we should always read the scripture under the guidance of senior Vaishnavas, Guru Maharaj, and we should always keep listening. Thank you so much. Yes, Prabhuji. It really answered the crux of the question. Moving on to the next one, Prabhuji. This is going to Ramayana. Now, the question has been asked from the point of view of a child. So the daughter of Mataji has asked this question, that how did Ravan got 10 heads? So in the Ramayana, Ravan as a demon or part Brahmin as well, how did he get 10 heads? But more important is, does it signify anything? His 10 heads, each head signifies anything?
I do not know the answer to that. I'm very sorry. I apologize. Why he has 10 heads, I do not know.
Very well. Okay. No worries, Prabhuji. We
I'm
shall.
sorry.
No, it's all right, Prabhuji. 10 heads, we can find the answer, but does it signify anything? I think we do have something in mind, but making a lot more better utilization of the time. We will move on to the next question, which is one question, and there are many questions in that question. This question has been asked by Udarsham Prabhuji, and he's very deep in philosophy and the knowledge. He has read Shastras very well. So his question is that who is a devotee and who is considered as pure devotees? Now, I think the question follows, and that gives the background of the question, that how to see when a senior devotee doing service over 20 years, but a wrong decision or activities has been made. How to respond to that situation?
First of all, the Shastras say that a devotee does not even consider himself a devotee. He considers himself a worm in the stool. So when a person thinks he's a Vaishnava, then Haridas Thakur says that this person is full of material desires. To even consider oneself as a Vaishnava, I think, and I believe, is the greatest self-deception. Because you can only say that if you have no material desire. But even a person who's liberated do not even say that. Prabhupada gives the example of a mathematician. He said, if you know 1 + 1 = 2, that doesn't mean you're a mathematician. There is a hope that you can be one if you focus on this. So if you be focused on the fundamentals, you try to progress into the deeper aspects and areas of mathematics, and you take this seriously as your career in life, then you can be a mathematician. But knowing 1 + 1 = 2 doesn't make you a mathematician. So knowing some things about Krishna consciousness doesn't make you a devotee. Prabhupada said, do not bring the concept of neophyte, because neophyte is still practicing. He's still not a mathematician. He's not there yet. So when he says devotee, he is talking about Uttamadhikari, a devotee who has no desire but simply to give happiness to Krishna in any situation, who is always willing to give service to anyone in any situation. That is devotee. It is only a matter of pride that sometimes we think that we have already become devotees. No. Even Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said that a person who thinks he's a guru is actually garu, he's a cow. So you can see that these devotees, they don't even talk about it. But they simply focus on their service. They just focus on their service. Prabhupada was so focused in his service. Okay? At a specific time, he would stand up, he would wake up and start translating book. And his schedule was so predictable. And most of the time, he was just doing seva. So sometimes you see people 20 years in service, 30 years in service, that is not the measure of seniority. Seniority means the depth of your realization. Seniority means the depth of your honesty. Seniority means the depth of your desire. Seniority means the depth of your longing to become Krishna conscious. That is seniority. So a person may have come here for the first time, but he is senior. But of course, we don't accept it that way because we have our own set of definitions of seniority. This is a nice story amongst Prabhupada's disciples, when Gaur Govinda Maharaj became a devotee. Everybody thought he was a Mayavadi sannyasi because, he had no Sika. So when he first came there, when he first met Brahmananda Prabhu, and Brahmananda was very nice to him, and he said, Prabhupada, the Mayavadi sannyasi is here to see you. Okay? And Gaur Govinda Maharaj started coming, and then Prabhupada gave him first and second initiation in one go. And his senior disciples were shocked. He's just new. Prabhupada said, no, he's been practicing Krishna consciousness from birth. You are new, he's old. And then when they went to Mayapur, Gaur Govinda Swami was just sitting near the toilet. All the senior disciples of Prabhupada were sitting with him near his train cabin. Gaur Govinda Maharaj was just sitting in the toilet. And when they gave him sannyas. And again, there was this protest. Why? He's just new. But how do you know? You're not the super soul. We're not the super soul. We don't know past, present, future. So being judgmental is a disease. This is the source of being critical of others. And the source of this being critical of others is envy. This is envy. Why? Because we don't want people to be better than us. You see? So that is also an anartha, pratishta, Hridaya Durbalyam, the weaknesses of the heart. So a devotee is more focused on what is really going on inside himself. Am I doing it the proper way? Am I developing the proper mood? Am I developing a proper sentiment towards this practice that have been shared to me? So real devotee is very, very introspective. He does not waste his time observing others, but he spends his time observing himself, how he can become a better devotee, how he can serve better, So the Shastras, they put all, what is the definition of a devotee? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that one who chants Hare Krishna is a devotee. Okay, now how did that happen? Why? Because for one to chant Hare Krishna, he must be blessed by God to even utter the name. If you cannot wake up unless the super soul wakes you up, how much more for uttering the name of Krishna? So if you take a serious look, all of these living entities in this planet are all associates of Krishna. Some are blinded to some degree, some are a little, open, some are very open. But to find these very open devotees, how can you know if you are blinded? So sometimes we say we have to accept a pure devotee as a guru. How do we know who is pure devotee if you are also blind? You go guru shopping, you take their CVs. Is that the way to find a guru? No. The way to find a guru is to seek the direction of Krishna. That's why we say Guru Krishna personified. By the mercy of Krishna, one is Guru. So if one is sincere, one is going to Krishna and saying, please Krishna, I do not know, I cannot understand you very well because I am so covered, I cannot hear your instructions as a super soul. Please help me, my Lord, please help me find my way. Then Krishna will send you a Guru. But if you go Guru shopping, or you listen to people and say, oh, my Gurudev is the best. Another person will say, oh, my Gurudev is the best, my Gurudev is the best, my Gurudev. How do you know what is the best? Okay, when we are so covered with ignorance, when we are so covered with so many, very bad temperaments, how will you know? And if they say he is pure, how will you know? So therefore, in our process, there is a 1 year observation period. The Guru observes you, and you also observe your Guru. Now, of course, your observation really is a little subjective because we are very conditioned. But we can pray to Krishna, and Krishna will show you the sign. So even amongst devotees, you cannot really conceal who you are because Krishna gives that uh, chaksu, Shastra chaksu to his devotees. The devotees will see what you are really made of. So you can keep on pretending that you are such, a senior devotee or a very advanced devotee, blah, 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 blah. You can say so many things. But Krishna knows who you are. So whom are you fooling? Would you want to believe your lies? If you want to believe your lies, then you are not into self-realization. Because self-realization means I am trying to find out all the lies that I believe in. So that is your mind telling you. So what is really going in? This sounds inside your head. Is that really you? Or is that really your mind? How do you know? How do you know? So Krishna says the mind has only two functions. The mind is, he attracts the good things and he rejects the bad things. Only two things. So when your mind is on that platform, I want this. Why do you want that? So you have to challenge. Okay? Why don't I want this? It's against my comfort zone. See? So you have to challenge. And that challenge comes from the intelligence. The intelligence must be well grounded in the absolute truth, or at least in something that is true. You see? But on our own, if we do not try to decipher also what is going on inside our head, inside ourselves, then that is not self-realization. So every day we have so many things going inside us. But we have to determine what is being dictated by my mind. You see, Krishna says, Kama, our enemy, our sworn enemy, the enemy of the spirit soul, Kama. He has taken 3 strategic positions in your body. First is your senses, Indriya. Okay? Therefore, your senses are always hungry. And then mana is also in your mind. So the mind is a lusty mind. It wants more, more. It wants to enjoy, And then your intelligence also. So if your intelligence is polluted and you do not have any support from these instructions given by this manual. So the Vedas, the scriptures, this is the manual how to survive in this world. This world is a machine. So when you buy something, there's a manual that goes with it. So you have to read the manual so that you can, maximize the utilization of this machine. You see? But if you do not read the manual of this world, then how can you become perfect in going through it without getting injured? So we need instruction. Okay, so devotee is more or less inside driven. Should examine yourself every day, every minute. He's not even concerned about whether he is a devotee or not. His only concern is, let me try. Let me try to improve my service by improving myself. Let me try, let me try. He will lament at his disqualifications. He will lament at his inability. He will lament at the fact that he cannot really do so much because he's limited by his condition. So most of the time, he's thinking about himself. The moment you start thinking about others, you're in Maya totally 100%. So these eyes are outward. But the real eyes, Shastra Chaksu, that is inside. So that is devotee. Does that answer your question, Prabhu?
Very well. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. And yes, I always get puzzled by this word, senior devotees, anyways, because this is an English language, I would say. In the Shastras, I don't think there's a mention of senior devotee, that who is a senior. However, the devotee itself are categorized into Kanishta, Madhyam, Uttama, and then even if we are, or anybody else we see, because I think the question is from the perspective that if there is a Madhyam Adhikari who has been doing the service for 20 years, then how could that devotee make the mistake or take the wrong decision, which you explained very well, I think, Prabhuji. But there is a follow-up question from the same Prabhuji, that is the faith in person more important than faith in principle, faith in Shastras? So what's more important, faith in the person or faith in the Shastras?
When you say faith in the person, faith to the devotee and faith to the guru?
I would think it's faith in devotee rather than
Okay.
faith in guru. Yes.
Prabhupada said there can be no blind faith. Otherwise, dharma, religion without philosophy, that is sentiment, that is fanaticism. Okay? So faith must be reasonable faith, and that faith must be based on the statements of the scriptures. Okay? Now there are three kinds of evidences. One is the evidence of the scriptures, Shruti, Shruti Pramana. So we have to get this evidence. Prabhupada said, how do you know who is your father? You have to take the statement from your mother. So mother is Shastra. Okay. Another evidence is Pratyaksha, by your experience. But then because, we are very conditioned and we have a lot of subjectivities inside us. So sometimes that evidence can be questionable. And then we have Aitihaya, which means the evidence provided by history, okay, by the parampara, by tradition. So these are also evidences. But faith must be, Prabhupada, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu describes faith as a sublime belief, a belief in something sublime. So first of all, there must be faith, but that should be reasonable faith. Now, at first, okay, for example, you go to an assembly, and they say you are not this body, you are a spirit soul, and they convince you, what is the difference of a living body and a dead body, blah blah blah. So if you believe that, okay, then you have faith because it's reasonable, right? The only way you can understand body and soul is to understand the difference between a living body and a dead body. Okay? And then they say, what now is the function of the soul? Now I know my identity. What is my function? So again, they will tell you, you see, the dharma of the living entity is service. Just like the dharma of water is it is wet and it is cold. The dharma of fire is warm. So they give you these analogies and they quote from Bhagavad Gita. And you take it. So that is reasonable faith. Okay? So there is a process. So this process enunciated by Rupa Goswami, this process is there to ensure that your faith becomes solid. Okay? Because faith in a person will have to again depend on evidence. If I say that my guru is pure devotee, what is your evidence? Why do you say that? If you say that this Prabhu is very advanced, what is your basis for saying that? You have to be able to defend your statements. Okay, so we have to challenge that. We also have. It's not that we develop a very challenging attitude, no, but we develop an attitude to challenge what is my mind saying. Okay, so when I say that people say this is a very advanced devotee. Okay, so the mind might say, okay, he's an advanced devotee, so I will take whatever he says. But no, Prabhupada says you have to hear. Because what comes out from his mouth will determine what kind of a person he is. Okay? What he does in his life will determine what kind of a person he is. So the quality of his service, okay, the nature of his service. Some people say, oh, I am a senior devotee, I'll just do puja because I am a Brahmin. I do not need to serve, I do not need to clean the toilets. Okay? That's fine. Because what if Krishna wants you to clean the toilet? Are you going to complain? Are you going to tell Krishna, I'm sorry, Krishna, back in the material world, I was a pujari. Yeah, but this is Vaikuntha now. You don't want to clean the toilets? So, is that the attitude? No. Devotee is always eager to do something, whatever it is. Prabhupada, when he was starting in 26 2nd Avenue, okay, he would cook, he would serve. And then when all the guests would leave, he would clean up. He would wash the dishes himself, he would wash the pots himself. And he was Acharya. Did he complain? No. Sometimes because he was already aging, he would request someone, can you please help me? Wash the pots. But Prabhupada did that. So we should follow in the footsteps of the Acharyas. Again, Rupa Goswami describes this. There are 6 elements that will, keep you alive in Krishna consciousness. He says, Utsahan. Utsahan is Daryat, Tat Karma Pravartana. So there must be enthusiasm. But the last part, it says, Satovite. We must follow in the footsteps of the Acharyas. Okay? So does it really matter? Okay, if a person is a senior devotee, if a person is a pure devotee, just serve him. Now, what if a karmic comes? Are you not going to serve him? Then that means you do not also see Krishna in his heart. All right? So, faith should be strongly grounded also on the principle of the truth. Okay? Because if your faith is grounded on the absolute truth, then your faith is strong. Then you go to Nishtha, you become fixed. No matter what happens, no argument can dissuade you from believing that chanting Hare Krishna is going to give me freedom from all of this material contamination. So faith is not in the person. It is based on Shastra. And when the Shastric injunction is there, then your faith becomes reasonable. At the same time, this must also be inspired by the Super Soul. So you can ask also Krishna, Krishna, what should I do? Please guide me. Please inspire me to do something. So a devotee does not always think that he can do things independently. No. Devotee means whatever he does, he prays to Krishna. Krishna, should I do this? I have this opportunity to serve. Let me do this. And you will see that when you do that, you feel happy. Susukam Caritamrta. So whenever we are in a situation where we are doubtful, do not listen to your mind. The first thing you do is wait. Let me pray to Krishna. He will guide me. Krishna knows everything. Let me pray to my Gurudev. He will guide me. That is devotee. He has strong faith. And his faith is grounded in the mercy of Guru and Krishna. Haribol. Is that all right?
Haribol. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Yes, indeed. And that reminds that you could, before we take the initiation, always, again and again, it's been reminded that we should not hurry. We could judge the person before we make the person as our guru. But once we have accepted initiation, once we have accepted guru, then we have the faith in the person. But before that, as per the knowledge of the Shastras, we should always have, as you said, the critical mind, inquisitive mind, challenging attitude. Of course, not in very offensive way. That brings me, because it mentions faith in person, that brings me to the next, it could be a follow-up question, Prabhuji, regarding Vaishnava Aparadh. Now, as it says in the devotee's life, there could be 2 different kinds of aparadh. One is Nama Prad. You have already mentioned, and there are 10 offenses we remind each other again and again every day. But Vaishnava Prad, Prabhuji, rather than what is Vaishnava Prad, could we focus on what's not Vaishnava Prad? Because a lot of times I've seen devotees, they don't like to take the service because they think they might do Vaishnava Prad. So if you will request somebody to speak, they will say, well, I don't want to speak because I might do Vaishnava Prad. And I will put myself on spot. For example, in the beginning, when we started, I requested you to be short in your answers. Was that a Vaishnava Prad? Because this
No.
recently happened.
No.
So it wasn't. Very well. So Prabhuji, with your experience in Krishna consciousness in ISKCON itself for that long, could you give 1, 2, or maximum 3? What do you think people, devotees, they think it is Vaishnava Prad, but it's not? Mainly, why do we need to worry about them? Because they come in the way to service to other Vaishnavas. Because we think these are the hurdles, but they are not. They are the hurdles, but they are not the Vaishnava Prads. Please, Prabhuji. Maybe
Okay.
1.
These 10 offenses are actually very nicely explained by Haridas Thakur in his book, Bhaktivinoda Thakur in the book Harinam Chintamani. I would encourage you to read that. It gives you the ABCs, of Harinam. It's a very nice book. My Gurudev spent 1 week teaching this to us before, I remember. So in that book, Haridas Thakur explains that Vaishnava aparad can happen in 3 cases. First is when you criticize a devotee because of his caste. Oh, he's a Sudra. I am Brahmin. Okay? He's nothing. Okay? So when you act on the platform, Sastras says that even a Chandala, there's that Mantra Tantra, Visharada, Vaishnava, Guru Nashad, Vaishnava, Sopachukur. So even if a Brahmin knows all the mantras and tantras, if he is not a devotee of Krishna, he cannot even purify himself, even though he's a Brahmin. That's why we have many smarter Brahmins. Okay, but a Vaishnava, even hailing from Chandalas, from a family of dog eaters, from a family of very sinful people, if he's a Vaishnava, he should be accepted as a Vaishnava. Like Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur was a Muslim. That's why he was not always allowed in some associations. Okay, he was not even allowed to enter the Jagannath Puri temple. But because he was a pure devotee, Caitanya Mahaprabhu, the moving Jagannath, would go and see him every day and take instructions from him. Okay, so according to caste. Second one is, if you criticize a devotee because of his past sins, before he joined Hare Krishna, for example, this person is a prostitute. And when he becomes a devotee, people will say, oh, this guy was a prostitute before. That's Vaishnava Prad. Because now you are defaming a person. You are maintaining his disqualification by a previous activity. And that was before he became a devotee. Okay, so to criticize a person based on his activities before he became a devotee, that is also Vaishnava Prad. Third is to criticize a devotee because of his, bad habits that are still there. So if a devotee is chanting Hare Krishna, sincerely, trying his best, but at the same time he comes on very strong. Sometimes he really, what do you call this? Drives his point. Sometimes he becomes too domineering. Sometimes he tries to, and people criticize him because of that. That is also Vaishnava Prad. But willful Vaishnava Prad, that is Vaishnava Prad. But when it is done unwillfully, supposing I'm serving prasadam and I serve one and then I space out and I serve the other guy and I did not serve you. Some people take offense to that. But it's just because I was distracted. It was not intentional. Okay? A devotee will not take that as an offense. He will say, Hari Bol, Prabhu, please give me prasadam. he will not take that as an offense, a real devotee. But one who is proud, he will say, hey, why are you ignoring me? Because he thinks he's somebody. He has rights. He has privileges. He's a Brahmin. He's senior devotee. He has all these shitty things going on in his mind. And because of that, he thinks he's a general. And he deserves something better. So when you think it's something better, that doesn't make you, a special person. When it is done unwillfully, then it is not an offense. Krishna is not a stupid person that, oh, he felt bad, so therefore you're going to suffer. Now, for example, we can see Parikshit Maharaj. He goes to the ashram of Samika Rishi. Samika Rishi was in deep meditation. He did not want this Parikshit Maharaj enter his ashram. So he was not able to offer him good service. He did not even offer him a seat or a glass of water. And Parikshit Maharaj felt offended. So on his way out, he saw a dead snake, picks the dead snake with his bow, and puts it as a garland in Samika Rishi and lives. Now his son takes offense. Shringi. He was a powerful Brahmin, but from far away he could see that. And he cursed Parikshit Maharaj. These Kshatriyas, they are really very proud. They do not know how to respect the Brahmin class. And he cursed him. Now, is that an offense? No, that was a pastime. Krishna wanted that to happen. So Samika Rishi said, why did you curse him? That was not an offense. It was really my fault because I did not understand that the king was there. So he goes to the king and says, my dear king, please forgive me. Please forgive my son. He is young. He is, inexperienced. But the curse is given that you will die in 7 days. So Samika Rishi did not take offense. You see? So under these circumstances, when it is done willfully, then that is Vaishnava. Now, when you don't want to preach, because you may say something that people will get offended, and that is not an offense, for as long as you speak the truth. Prabhupada said, we do not follow Satyam Bruyat, Prayam Bruyat. I only speak something that you like to hear. Now, sadhu means to cut. It's the definition of sadhu. So when the sadhu talks, he's there to cut all your attachment to this world. He's there to enlighten you, about the futility of all your longings, about the futility of all your materialistic plans. And he's going to really give it to you hard. Because he's not there to impress you. He's not there to flatter you. He's there to tell you the absolute truth. And the truth is not something everybody can handle. Not everybody can handle that. If a person tells you, you know what, you really look ugly, people feel offended. Why? They can handle the truth, even if it's true. But a devotee knows, oh yeah, I know that. And he understands, well, yeah, this body is ugly. What can be done? And even if you have beauty, you got to grow old. When you grow old, all your beauty will go away anyway. Even if you're intelligent, when you grow old age is going to rob you of beauty, rob you of abilities, rob you of your intellectual prowess, rob you of everything. It will rob you of your family. Your children will be away. They will be going in their own lives, and you will find yourself alone. You see? So Vaishnava aparad is what we have to be aware of is that willful, dislike, okay, or willful desire that this person will, end up in a bad way. So that starts in the mind. So sometimes you don't like this person speaks so heavily, blah, 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 he's very critical, blah, 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 I don't like him. Okay. Now, if you don't wash your mind, then that is going to translate into your actions. Feeling, willing, thinking, feeling, and willing. Then it manifests. So it has to be contained in the mind. It has to be destroyed in the mind. So therefore, a devotee should be very introspective. Why do I like this person? Because this person is proud. So never mind. If you have the chance to tell it to him, then you pray to Krishna. Krishna, I think is not doing the right thing. Give me the opportunity to guide him. Okay? But then again, that is up to Krishna. If that person is willing to accept, then Krishna is going to arrange for someone to correct him. Maybe not you, maybe through somebody else, maybe through his own experience, maybe through his own spiritual master. But that is not something that we should, uh, be so attached to do. You say, I'm also guilty of this thing. Sometimes I say devotee, I do not like it. But then I realized that, wait a minute, something is disturbing me. And that thought is disturbing me. So I said, wait, is it important? No. So let me just pray for him, that Krishna will show him the way. Then that is devotee. So that means you are his well-wisher. That's why we say, Vanchagal Patarubhyasya Kripasing the Bevaja. Vaishnava devotee is like a touchstone. He's the well-wisher of everyone. So these things will happen. Okay? We fall into this trap all the time. In the mind, still in the mind. We fall always into this trap. And sometimes we start criticizing people in our mind. But you have to understand that when you start doing that, you're disturbed. It's something there is not going on right. So this is an opportunity now to really think, what is the cause of my misery? What is the cause of I cannot chant properly. I cannot read properly. This thought is always on my mind. Then you have to pray to Krishna. Krishna, you are the super soul. He is your devotee. Please guide him. And Krishna will make the arrangements without you even, going out of your way to really chastise the person. Although, sometimes, most of the time we are guilty of trying to chastise the person ourselves. But we have to veer away from that. Because at the end of the day, whatever happens to him is his business. And whatever happens to you is your business. Prabhupada says at the end of your life, you are on your own. So you can try. If they don't listen, then never mind. I am guilty of the same thing. Okay? And I'm also trying to work on it. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. And yes, it's always, we should. I think it's one of those things we should keep reminding ourselves what is, what's not Vaishnava Prat. So we could do the service for Guru and Gauranga. Now, conscious of the time, Prabhuji, I think in 10 minutes time, it will be a couple of hours. We can't have enough of you. There's one more question, if you allow, Prabhuji, we will ask. Haribol. Thank you so much. Mataji has asked this question, and Mataji said, would you like to, well, Mataji just likes to ask how to read scriptures and how to remember and apply them. So again, this question is very widely known, and everybody would like to remember.
Yes. First of all, before you can really like a book, you have to like the author. Krishna says, Vedesha Sarver, I am Evavrijo. I am Vedanta Krit. I am the compiler of the Vedas. But for a conditioned soul to like Krishna, it's not really easy because we have so many impurities in our hearts. Okay? But what I found very, very effective is I tried to fall in love with the author. So the first thing I read was Prabhupada Caritamrta. So when I was reading Bhagavad Gita every day and Srimad Bhagavatam, I would also spend some time to read Prabhupada Caritamrta to understand who's really Prabhupada. Okay? And then when you go to the first book, a lifetime in preparation, you can see Prabhupada's, difficulties and challenges. Starting from his family life and going into Vanaprastha, the difficulties he did. Then comes the next book, Planting the City, goes to America. He takes sannyas, he goes to America, and then he goes without any money. The only money he had was when he sold a book to Captain Pandya, the captain of the Jaladuta. He said, Captain Pandya, I have no money. Can you just buy one of my books? And that was his money, $20. Okay. And how did he start? He started living with somebody, and then the guy was, just flipped out because he was high on drugs. Prabhupada had to run for his life. Then Mukunda Maharaj shows up, and they opened 22nd Avenue, and everything is history. So, if you want to fall in love with ISKCON, you have to fall in love with Prabhupada. You read about his pastime. I encourage you to read Srila Prabhupada Caritamrta. Now, that is the most, I think, comprehensive biography of Prabhupada. But there are so many books now written also by his disciples, which shows another another angle of Prabhupada, you know. And if you read them, you will understand that Prabhupada, everything he did was just Krishna conscious, you know. So after that, you can read The Miracle on 26 Second Avenue by Mukunda Maharaj. It's a very nice book. You can read also the book by Shrutakirti Prabhu, you know, Prabhupada Vacha. You know, Shrutakirti was the servant of Srila Prabhupada. And then you can read also my Gurudev's book, Servant of the Servant. It talks also about Srila Prabhupada. So there are so many books about Srila Prabhupada. So if you read about Srila Prabhupada and really appreciate, you know, his transcendental sacrifice, okay, to bring Krishna consciousness to the West and to develop, to train his disciples, to develop ISKCON into what it is now, then you can appreciate. And there you will have the desire to read his books. So Prabhupada said, okay, he's quoting so many scriptures, he's writing so many books. He said, oh, Prabhupada wrote so many books for us. So let me try to read his books. Let me try to get his mercy. So in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, this Vasudeva Katharuchi comes only from Mahadseva, by serving the pure devotee of Krishna. So by reading about Srila Prabhupada, that is Prabhupada Smaranam, remembering Prabhupada, that is Mahadseva. Now, when you try to do the next seva, which is to try to understand, okay, his work of love, which is translating all of these books, then you're going to appreciate it more. Because you see, Srila Prabhupada was not really an English writer, but just see how he has presented this. Okay, you go to his purpose, you see how the Sanskrit is translated, and you will see the effort, you know, that was really put in, and you will appreciate more how Prabhupada really did this. And because of that appreciation of a pure devotee, then attraction for Krishna will also follow. It all starts with, you know, the attraction, the appreciation that one gives to a pure devotee. Because to approach Krishna is not easy. And you see, there are so many stories, you know, about how people became devotees just because of Prabhupada's books. You see, there was this pastime about the stewardess. Prabhupada was on a flight, and the stewardess came and said, "Can I offer you anything? Can I offer you milk? Oh, we're vegetarians. Oh, can I offer you food?" So she was always trying to offer something. And Prabhupada was very pleased with her. And she said, "Oh, we brought some of our food." And, you know, Shutakirti opened up, you know, their tiffin. And this lady, you know, said, "Oh, you have such nice food." And immediately she grabs one speck of prasadam, pops it into her mouth. End of story. Several years later, there were some devotees who were doing Sankirtan in the Amazon jungle. I mean, who would find a person in the jungle, you know? And they came upon an old, you know, an old small cottage, and they knocked on the door, and they opened, and this lady comes up and says, "Where have you been? I've been waiting for you." They were shocked. "We're waiting for us." What do you mean? You come inside, and when they entered, you know, this lady had, you know, Prabhupada's books. She had an altar. She was chanting Hare Krishna, and she never had any association with devotees after that. So that is the potency of an association, of a moment's association with a pure devotee. You see, we see so many of these pastimes in all of these stories of Prabhupada's disciples. So the more we fall in love with Srila Prabhupada, the more we will also develop a taste. Okay? By the mercy of the spiritual master, we develop a taste to also know more about Krishna. Because you can see how Prabhupada, you know, really put in a lot of his bhakti, a lot of his service into writing these books as his service to his Gurudev. And we are all the beneficiaries of this tremendous service. So for a person to say he's a devotee of ISKCON, but he doesn't read Prabhupada's books, he's not a follower of Prabhupada, plain and simple. That's just plain sentiment. Oh yeah, Prabhupada very nice sadhu. Yeah. They don't want to read these books. Now what is that? Is that service? No. The desire to serve Prabhupada is not there. Oh, I will give donation. Yeah, but Prabhupada doesn't need the donation. Prabhupada needs you. Prabhupada needs you to do something for yourself. He wrote these books so that he can have money. Krishna doesn't need any. Krishna is Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo. He is the owner of everything in this planet. He doesn't need your service to make him happy. He is served by Lakshavriteshu Shurabhira Vipala. He is served by thousands and millions of goddesses of fortune. So sometimes people worship the goddess of fortune to get money. But Krishna is served by billions of goddesses of fortune. So one goddess, a portion, can give everything that Krishna likes. But Krishna is not happy with that. So do not think that you are very important, that Krishna needs anything from you. No. But Prabhupada needs anything from you. No. We need it. And that is the first realization that a sadhaka should have. I need this mercy. I need this knowledge. I need this strength. I need to be inspired. I will go to the devotees so that I can find inspiration. Or I will go to the devotees and share something. Maybe they will be inspired. That is the mood of a devotee. Do not even think that Krishna needs you. That is the biggest lie that you are believing. He doesn't need any of your service. He doesn't need your money. Try to understand. You know, this world is just one of the planets in the 14 planetary systems in one universe. And how many universes are coming out from the pores of Mahavishnu? Innumerable. You cannot even count them. And in every universe, Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam, all universes are complete in itself. You need gold, it's there. Silver, there. Diamond, there. Everything is there. Money, yes, it's there. So anything material, Krishna doesn't need it. We believe we need it. So do not think that Krishna needs your service, needs your money for your charity, needs your tapasya. No. But he wants you to do that. He wants you to believe that. He wants you to do something. Because he's thinking, oh, this associate of mine, he's been there for so long. He's been suffering for so long. Let me try to give him something so that he can come up to his senses and come and play with me again. That is God. That is Krishna. But a vision soul, he must approach this knowledge, this philosophy, this practice of chanting Hare Krishna with real faith and real humility. Humility is the symptom of knowledge. One who is wise, he will be humble because he knows his position. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, he defines knowledge. Kshetra Gayor Jnanam. If you know the field, the knower of the field, and there are two, Krishna and you know, he is knowledgeable. And he goes to the next verse. He says, humility, pridelessness, blah, blah, blah. All of this is knowledge. The opposite is ajnana. So for us to really appreciate this, we have to approach this with a humble state of mind and thinking that, you know, I have so many misconceptions about myself. Most of them are not true. I have many beliefs that I want to, you know, make people believe. But actually, they don't count anymore. There is something I need to find out. So if a devotee maintains that attitude, then he can become senior devotee in a year or in a few. So deep. And that is what Krishna likes. That is what Krishna is looking for. One step. Come to me, one step. That's what Prabhupada is encouraging. Just do service. Prabhupada did not speak too much about the esoteric, you know, leelas of Krishna, you know, that is the way. So I encourage you, you read Prabhupada Lilamrita. Do not immediately go to the high-end part of this philosophy, you know, because the tendency is because the mind is contaminated, you know, it will develop its own conclusions. So if you do not have a taste of understanding the purports and the translations and the word-for-word translations, if you're not there yet, do not hurry up and go, I'm now in the 8th canto, I read all the verses, but no purports. No. The tendency that you're going to develop apasiddhanta is there because the mind is contaminated. Okay? Better we start with the basics, fundamentals, Prabhupada pastimes. That will be nice. It will be very, very inspiring. Go to YouTube, watch about Prabhupada. And for sure, you will be in love with Prabhupada. Haribo.
Haribo. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. I'm sure we all really wish we had more time and we could ask more questions. All of your answers, Prabhuji, they were so nice and so many takeaways for us to develop our devotional service. But the time is limited. Humbly, it's such a been pleasure to have you back, Prabhuji. We would love to invite you back if you have time, maybe in a couple of weeks' time. And I'm sure Ramanand Kanai Prabhuji will be in touch to get that arranged. Well, such a pleasure to have you back, Prabhuji. Thank you so much bearing with us for a couple of hours. We kept asking difficult questions, and you gave such a nice answers, Prabhuji. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Prabhuji.
I would like to thank all of you also for your patience. Some of the things I have said may not be to your liking, or you may not have agreed to it, but this is the best I can offer based on my, meager understanding. But thank you for having me back. It really means a lot to me because, I'm not a very likable person. So for me to be invited again, for me was like, oh, well, that's nice. Now I feel a little special. But thank you so much. And if I will be given that opportunity again to be of service to the devotees, that would be also my great fortune. That would be a great blessing upon me. And thank you all for your time. And I hope I will see you again, even virtually or in person. That would be very nice. Thank you so much. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you very much, Srivas Thakur Prabhu. It was really an amazing session. So two sessions of each 2 hours. It is a lot. Really, but it was not only in terms of time, but not in terms of the messages what we received. Still, we want more, as Prabhu was rightly saying. So I'll get back to you very soon, Prabhu, to
Thank you.
have one more session with you once again. All our members are really excited and enjoyed hearing from you, and it was really the real nectar, as you were mentioning, whether it's a real nectar or what one of the answers you are saying. So really, they are very useful and helpful practical tips you gave to many of the questions raised by our members, and really it helps in our sadhana to improve our sadhana and to be more attentive in performing our devotional service. So thank you very much once again, Srivas Thakur Prabhu. So it was very, very nice to have you with us. So thanks for
Jai.
your all your mercy upon us.